Okay, I'm gonna show you a quickish tutorial on how to do the details, like the ombre, the dots, the splatter for the Hugs and Kisses sign. So before I pressed play, I did some of the basics that you all already know how to do. I painted this backer, the light pink color, and I used a foam brush for that. I did a light coat, let it dry, lightly sanded, and then I did a second coat. You might only need to do one, but if not, then just know I did too. Then I went ahead and painted the letters for Kisses red. Make sure you get the correct S's because the S for Hugs is smaller. So paint that red, set that aside, and then painted the Hugs the light blue. As soon as I was done painting the Hugs the light blue, you're going to open up your darker blue paint. You're gonna use the same wedge you used for the lighter color of blue. And then, I don't know if my box is on camera, but I'm going to barely dip it in the darker blue color. And then on your box, my wedge is kind of dried out as I was setting up the camera. I'm going to bounce up and down a lot. I want very, very little paint on my wedge in order to do the ombre. I'm going to focus on the edges first, and I'm only gonna go down about 1/3 of the way because I'm doing the top and bottom. You can just do the top if you want. In the picture, I did both. So I am very, very lightly bouncing on that edge. And then as I go down, I'm kind of lifting, and my touch, which is already super light, is getting even lighter. I don't even know if you can tell on the camera. It's a very subtle ombre. If you don't bounce up and down several times, then there's going to be a harsh stopping point, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just not gonna blend as well. And let's say you're not happy with how the ombre is looking, you can always go back and maybe you can either rinse your wedge out or use a cleaner side just to get that, because like this is a little bit of a harsher stop right there, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't look terrible. But if it bothers you, you can always get some of the lighter color and slowly go up just to kind of blend that a little bit better. But remember, you're gonna be doing so many different detail works on this. You're gonna do splatters and everything. It really doesn't need to look absolutely perfect. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the U and the G and the S. The two most important things are bouncing most of that paint off and then using the world's lightest touch. You can see that. I can already tell that has more paint than I want it to have. And that's why we focus on the ends, because it's okay if the ends are darker. It's kind of how it would look anyways. Okay, there's the G. And then we're going to finish off with this S. Did it bounce enough? Okay. Then when you're done with this, you're going to get the wedge out for the light pink color. And you are going to paint this piece of your stem. Sorry, let me grab it. You're gonna paint this piece. Technically, you could have painted it with your foam brush, but because of the cutouts and everything, if paint on the ends bothers you, it's harder to keep it clean with the foam brush. So I did go ahead and send a large wedge along so that you could paint this. You don't need to paint this one because you're not going to see that. So once you're done painting this, then use that same wedge and the light pink color to ombre the letters for kisses. So same thing, I'm gonna go ahead and dip it and get a lot of that paint off. And then focus on the ends and very lightly move your way down or up, however you wanna look at that. And then you're just gonna do that with every single piece. I'm gonna do it with the eye. I'm just gonna kind of move it around that top part for the dot. So yeah, if you have questions on this, make sure you let me know. I'm going to press pause and finish this out. The next thing is you're gonna paint this small heart. I've already done it, but you're gonna paint this small heart the darker pink and then use that same wedge after to ombre around the edge of your backer. You don't need to do this bottom part because that goes into the stand. So I just kind of stuck around the sides and top. And then I'll come back on when it's time to do our polka dots and our other details and our splatter paint. Okay, once you have all of your ombre effect done, you're gonna take your backer, and I did polka dots on mine. This is completely optional. I sent you a flat toothpick on one end. It's the flat part. That's what you can use to dot. I've mentioned this in the group before, but I like to use these dotting tools. I got them off of Amazon. I can send you the link if you're interested. But it comes with, I don't even know how many. There's probably 5 or 6, and there's different size dots on each one of them. So I usually use the bigger dot for like background stuff, and then I'll use the smaller ones when I'm trying to add little swipes. So how I like to do my dots, you can just go random, but if you want them to look somewhat uniform but still random, what I do, it's nicer if it's just a square. That makes it super easy. When it's something like this, it's a little bit more difficult, but I am going to start at the bottom. I'm not gonna start clear down here. This is where it's gonna sit in the stand. And so I'm gonna start a little bit above that. I'm gonna dot one. You would use your toothpick if you don't have a dotting tool. And I'm gonna start one in the corner. And normally I do corner and corner, but I'm not gonna do that on this. I'm just going to kind of eyeball a distance away. So I'm gonna do about right there. And then I'm gonna try to keep it somewhat uniform in distance. It's not going to be perfect, I'm here to tell you, and that's okay. I'm gonna go all the way across the bottom. Then what I'm going to do is try to keep about this distance, but upwards. And then go up above each one. And I know that obviously in the etching, the letter is going to cover the dot. I still dot on there just so that I don't get confused. And then try to go approximately the same distance above. It's just a lot of back and forth. And learn from my mistake. See that one I did a little bit too high, and that's okay. Keep your hand really high above. I have gone and smeared on accident all of my dots before, and that was a pain in the butt to fix. That one is gonna be cut out. This one is very on the edge. Cut out, cut out. And we'll call that good. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in between each of these dots. So right there in the middle. And then I'm going to also do some over here, which that isn't going to show. So I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger so you can kind of see it through the K. I fudge a little bit on some of them. Some of them are gonna be completely covered by the letter, and that's okay. But if it looks like there's going to be like a huge blank space, then I'll go ahead and add one. Let's go up here. Okay, excuse me. So I think that is good. I'm going to let that dry. Oh, you know what? I can show you how I do some of the, I'm gonna set this aside and make sure I don't touch those dots. I'm gonna show you how to do some of the swipes. So let me press pause because I need to go grab my paint marker. Okay, as you'll see in the picture, I did like a swipe and some dots on each of these letters just to give it a little bit more detail. You can, same thing, you can use the toothpick. You can either use the sharp end or the flat end to do the swipe. I would use the flat end to dot just like you did on the background. If you're doing a ton of kits, you might want to get a white paint pen, a paint marker. It just makes it a little bit faster and a little bit easier to swipe. This one I got from Sam's Club. I got it in a big package. I have only used the white color, so I did not need any of the other colors. Posca, P-O-S-C-A, is a super popular brand of paint marker. I have not used it. This one has lasted me almost 2 years. So I haven't used it. That's probably what I'll buy after using this so I can try it out. So what I like to do is, so like I just swipe down this, and then I would use my dotting tools to, I would use the smaller one to dot. So I use the marker to swipe and then the dotting tool to add the little dots. So let's see, I just kind of go off of how I feel with these. Let's go down here, and then we'll go here. And then, okay, I apologize for my last video cutting off. I guess my phone is completely out of storage space. So I had to go through and delete a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm not sure where it ended up because I kept talking while I was dotting. Okay, once you're done doing all of that and get your pieces stuck down, obviously wait until everything is completely dry before you stick it down. I'm gonna show you how to do the splatter if you haven't done it before. You're going to need to cover your work surface. This just is packaging stuff that came in an Amazon package. I like to use disposable tablecloths from the Dollar Tree, whatever you like. Then you're gonna get your white paint and the detail brush. I like to get my detail brush slightly wet. You don't want it dripping, otherwise you're just flicking water everywhere. But I do like it to be slightly wet just because the dots or the paint splatters will be a little bit thinner. So I'm going to very lightly dip it in that white paint. And I start quite a ways above my project because if bigger splatters come through, it won't just plop right down. And then as it seems like my paint is running out, I get a little bit closer to get those really fine details. I usually flick once or twice away from my project just to get like right after you dip. Then I'll like flick it over the paint. That way, sorry, I'm assuming a package is being delivered. That way the biggest splatters will be knocked off before you get it onto your project. Sorry, this is my life. Okay, I saved you from most of the loud barking. It's so annoying. Okay, don't forget to do your stand if you want that to look kind of I don't want to say seamless, but like it's really part of your project. And that is it. You, once that's dry, go ahead and put that in the stand, set it on your shelf. Please reach out if you have any questions.